Bill Cates here. Looks like you've made it all the way to lesson 3 so far. So in our short course for referrals, we've talked about getting referrals and introductions without asking for them. We've talked about asking without pushing, without begging. Next up is turning referrals into introductions, into connections. And then we're going to help you create great results with all of this, how to create processes and new habits. Right? So remember the client acquisition hierarchy. It's all about connection. As we go up the hierarchy, we get better connections and more advocacy from our referral source, which is really what we're trying to create here, is advocacy and connection. The questions we're going to answer as we go here are, what do you want to learn about your new prospects? How does that affect the introduction you get? What are the components of a good introduction? How does LinkedIn fit into this process? And is event marketing really a good idea? Well, you do want to learn as much as you can about your new prospect. The more you learn, the more comfortable you're going to feel calling this new prospect eventually, and the better conversation you're going to have. Now, typical things we want to learn is family, occupation, business, nature of the relationship. Here are a couple things you might not thought of learning, or questions you might not thought of asking. Tell me something you like or admire about them, like or admire about him, her, or them. This is really a powerful question to ask, because then you can take that and incorporate that into your contact. When you make contact with them, you'll learn a lot of good things about their relationship with them and how the connection is going to improve because of that. And then what's going on in their life that's important to them. Right? When you find out what's going on in their life, their world that's important to them, this not only informs the introduction, but it also informs how you reach out to them and your ability to create a compelling connection to actually turn that introduction into an appointment. So let's talk about turning referrals into personal introductions and some tips about doing this. It should be a collaborative process. Let's talk about how you introduced me to George, or let's talk a little bit about the connection from me to George, or my guess is George would like to hear from you before he hears from me. So we talk about that. That's how we introduce us, and then we want to talk about what the client is likely to say to the prospect. Right? Does the value discussion, right? Remember the value discussion? Does that inform this introduction? Maybe their friend, their family member will value the same things. What's going on in their life that's important to them, their world that's important to them? How does that inform the introduction? How will the prospect react? Not a bad question to ask, so you get a feel for this. And sometimes less is more. Sometimes all you want to say is, why don't you tell George that we've been working together, we've done some important work, and that taking my call will be worth 5 to 10 minutes of his time. Could you say that? And sometimes that's all you need to do to create that strong, compelling advocacy introduction. And then always agree on a time frame, right? Never leave it open to chance. Today's Tuesday. When do you think you have a chance to talk to him? Or when do you think you have a chance to shoot him an email? Always create a time frame here. And then, of course, you want to use the big blue introductions machine, which is LinkedIn. This was built for introductions. And here's a few ideas for LinkedIn. So much we could talk about here, but a couple of things. First of all, you want to connect with your clients and your setters of influence and appropriate prospects. The goal here for you is not necessarily quantity, but it's quality. Make sure that you connect with everybody, that they're in your connections, and then find out what their relationship to LinkedIn is, because their relationship to LinkedIn will determine how you go about reaching out to them for introductions. If they've been using LinkedIn a lot and it's something they do all the time, then it becomes a lot easier than if they're not using it very much. And then ask for specific introductions. I see that you're connected with George Smith. How do you feel about introducing me to him? It's really as simple as that. And then LinkedIn works great when you target one or more niche markets. Targeting a vertical market, a niche market, is a tremendous strategy for referrals. And then LinkedIn taps into that because you can identify people on LinkedIn who are in that vertical market and then compare it to your profile and your contact list and then create the connections there. Now, hosting referral events is another great way to get connected. Wine and cheese tastings, chocolate appreciation or chocolate tastings, sporting events, chef's table, golf outings, golf lessons, even cooking classes are a great way to get connected. And so here are a few tips for referral events. Think smaller, think connections. Don't make the mistake of having to think that your referral events have to be these big events where you attract a lot of people. Really, generally speaking, you want smaller events because it creates better connections. So think smaller. You actually can see the fruits of your labor. It's easier to organize those events. Call, mail, call invitation process. If you really want people to show up to your event, make sure you call them first. Let them know about it. Let them know the invitation is coming. And then you or an assistant can follow up and see if they're coming, see if they have someone they'd like to invite. And then have a process for following up with your clients and with their guests. Make sure you follow up with everyone, because the relationship magic may happen at the event, but the results happen in the follow-up. So, getting referrals and introductions without asking for them, check. Asking for referrals without pushing or begging, check. Turning referrals into introductions, check. What's left? Making this stick, creating new processes and new habits. So all you have to do is click on that yellow bar, that orange bar, and that'll take you to the final course, making it stick, creating results. I'll see you over there. Thanks for watching.